Welcome back. It is the CJ Silas Show. I'm glad to be here as always. I try my best to bring you the big name guests, the entertaining folks, all the way from the coldest or hottest place in the Pacific Northwest, Pullman, Washington. New head coach Mike Leach is on the line. Hey, Mike, how are ya?
Doing good. How's everything there?
It's interesting that we're talking now because the last time you and I chatted, we were both in completely different positions in our lives. Things happen, good and bad, between then and now. And I don't know about you, but for me, over the 3 years when I was kind of hovering and trying to figure out what was next for me, I had moments where I thought, is this going to happen? I keep putting all this time in. People believe in me. People don't. I've go through adversity. And I was just talking to Rick Neuheisel about the same thing a couple weeks ago. Were there moments in the span between Texas Tech and now that you felt, by golly, I'm tired of this stuff. Is it going to happen for me again?
Well, I guess a couple things. I first of all, I always figured it would. Okay, one, but then two, I guess the most frustrating thing is there was a lot of falsehoods spread out by a bunch of dubious people that even now I have to combat. The people that have reported about things honestly and the rest. I mean, has helped set things straight. But by the same token, it never should have happened in the first place. And I do plan to do my part to bring those individuals to justice. We did we had a great 10 years at Tech. And,
you did.
The best 10 years that they've ever had. And then in 2008, I was the consensus National Coach of the Year, and of course that was on the backs of a great staff, great players. That we worked together for 10 years to really put together something special, and so I thought it would. And then the other thing was there was a lot of variety to what I did the 2 years that I was off. The dealing with this stuff. I mean, that was a nuisance, and it certainly continues to be. But by the same token, you're only allotted so much time, and go out and be as productive as possible and learn as much as you can.
Selfishly, I'm glad you're closer to us. You actually started your career here in San Luis Obispo at Cal Poly in 1987 when you were an assistant. Texas is pretty far. Pac-12 gets a lot of attention here in California just because there are so many teams in the Pac-12. We have Mike Leach now back in our territory, which is cool for me. So I'm kind of pumped up about that. And Rick Neuheisel and I were just saying as well, it's going to be very exciting for the Pac-12. There are so many changes in this conference. With you coming in and Jim Mora and the new TV network, we have a lot of great college football we're going to get, and you're going to be a huge part of it. Are you excited about it?
San Luis Obispo is one of the greatest places in the world, and anybody that hasn't been ought to go. And this conference has, it's I think it's the most fascinating conference because it's got more diversity geographically from one spot to the next, and then now. And you mentioned some of the coaches, and there's several others too, and then new teams and the rest. But it's more diverse offensively and defensively than any other conference too.
What's the difference? The biggest difference for you between the Big 12 and the Pac-12?
Less than people think. Everybody wants to characterize conferences by this conference is this generalization, that conference is that generalization. If you're a major conference, they all have big players. They all have fast players. They all have, effective players. And then conferences sometimes will get in a trend where they're characterized by maybe throwing the ball or running the ball or something. And I think a lot of those are just little things that take place, just little trends that kind of come and go a little bit. Some conference might get a good run of quarterbacks, and so they get recognized for that. And but the thing is if you're in a major conference, they all have big, fast players, and they all have a high-quality level of play. And so from that standpoint, I think they're really similar.